Hello everyone. Welcome to our lesson on fractions and decimals. I'm Teacher Bob, and today we're going to explore how we use fractions and decimals in our everyday lives. You'll be surprised to see how often they come up, whether you're cooking or shopping or even dividing a bill at a restaurant. Let's dive in here. All right, let's talk about fractions first. Fractions represent parts of a whole. For example, if you have a pizza, and just draw a circle here to represent our pizza. And let's say we eat 1/4 of it. So that would be about a quarter right there approximately. If we had divided this pizza into 4 equal slices, one of them would be equal to 1 out of 4, or 1/4. That is a fraction. It's a part out of a whole. The top part is called the numerator, and it's the part we're interested in, and the bottom number is called the denominator, and that tells us how many pieces the whole has been divided into. Okay, so decimals are just another way to represent parts of a whole. For example, 1/4 is equal to 0.25 or 25 hundredths. They're just two different ways of writing. With fractions, we're comparing a part to a whole. With decimals, we're using a base 10 numbering system. The first place value after the decimal is the 10th place. The second place is the 100th. So the way we say this decimal here is 25 hundredth. And that's 25 really parts out of 100, isn't it? So if we were to simplify this fraction, if we were to divide the top by 25 and the bottom by 25, well, what are we going to get? We're going to get 1/4, which is the fraction that we had, and I mentioned that that's equal to decimal 5. All right, so let's do an example here. Let's see how fractions and decimals come up in real life. Let's look at an example. Imagine that you have 3/4 of a pizza. So let's divide this into 4 equal quarters. And you've got 3 of them. 3/4 of a pizza left. Okay, if you wanted to share what was left equally with 3 people, well, we could write that out as 3/4. How much of the pizza you have left. And if you're going to divide it between 3 people, well, this is pretty easy to see. You've got 3/4. So that means you're going to be able to give each person 1/4 of a piece of pizza. Okay, you hopefully can just see that. If you got 3/4 and you divide it by 3, well, 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1, isn't it? So if you had 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4, that's equal to 3/4, isn't it? Okay, I want to just show you the mathematical algorithm, or just the strategy that you can use for all fractions. Sometimes fractions are not going to be quite this easy to get an answer for. So let's just use this same question. 3/4 divided by 3, and 3 is equal to 3 over 1. You can have any integer and you can change it into a fraction by just putting it over 1. So we can rewrite this question as 3/4 divided by 3 over 1. Remember, we just said 3 is equal to 3 over 1 is equal to. Now, the way to do this mathematically is we'll take this first fraction and leave it alone. We're going to take the division symbol and we're going to change it to multiplication. And then we take the second fraction and we flip it upside down. And that's called its reciprocal. Oh, and this is 1 over 3. Okay, and then multiplying fractions is it's real easy. You just multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms. So we get 3 on the top and we get 12 on the bottom. And then we need to simplify. What's the largest number that you can divide into both the top and the bottom? This is the largest common factor. Well, we can divide 3 into the top and 3 into the bottom. And what's our new fraction? Well, 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1. And 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. So what did we get in the answer above? 1/4. And if we do it the way I've just shown you here, you're still going to get 1/4. It's just another way to get the right answer. Okay, so it's really simple. Let's move on to decimals. Suppose you need 1/2 cup of sugar for a recipe. The question is, how many 1/4 cups do you need in order to measure out 1/2 cup of sugar? Well, really what we're asking ourselves is 1/2 divided by 1/4. How many quarters go into 1/2? A quarter is smaller, so we're going to go 1/2 times, remember this, keep the first fraction, change division to multiplication, and then flip the second fraction upside down. So we get 4 on the top in our answer and 2 on the bottom. And 2 goes into 4 2 times. So our answer is 2. So we need 2 times, or 2/4 cup measures of sugar in order to get 1/2 cup of sugar. That's all there is to this. All right. Let's give you a chance to do some questions on your own. So take a look at these questions here. I want you to pause the video, go through them on your own, and when you're ready, come on back and we'll go through the questions together and make sure that we agree. Okay, so pause the video now and we'll see you when you're ready. All right, welcome back. We're going to look at another couple skills here as well as we go through these questions. So, number 1, you have 3/4 of a cake. If you eat 1/2 of what is left, how much cake do you eat? Well, we want to know, what is 1/2 of 3/4? Well, this is multiplication, and we talked about multiplication. That's simply just multiplying the tops and the bottoms. So We want to know what is 1/2 of 3/4. We write that down like this. 1/2 times 3/4. So we just simply multiply the tops and multiply the bottoms, the numerators and the denominators. So what do we end up with here? We end up with 3 on the top and 8 on the bottom. So that's our answer. If you eat half of 3/4 of a cake, how much cake did you eat? You eat 3/8. Number 2, if you're shopping and a shirt costs $15.75, if you pay with a $20 bill, how much change will you get? Adding and subtracting numbers in decimal form is quite easy if you know how to add and subtract regular numbers, other numbers without decimals. All you have to do is simply line up the decimals and then you add or subtract as you normally would, leaving the decimals all in a row, one above the other, right down into the answer. So let's do number 2 over here. So $20 is what you give. The sales clerk has to subtract $15.75 from $20. We need to put 2 zeros here after the decimal where we have $20. So we've got these 2 decimals, one on top of the other, and you're going to bring this down right into the answer. And then we're going to subtract like we normally do from right to left. Well, we can see we've got a lot of zeros here, so we cannot subtract. We have to borrow first. So we're going to borrow from the 2, which becomes 1. And we're going to have to borrow all the way over to the last place value. So this becomes 10. We borrow, it becomes a 9. The next one becomes a 10, which we have to borrow from. So it becomes a 9. So this becomes a 9. And we're left at the very end with a 10 to subtract from. Okay, so 10 subtract 5 is 5. 9 subtract 7 is 2. 9 subtract 5 is 4. And 1 subtract 1 is 0. We don't need to put a 0 there. This is all money, isn't it, that we're talking about? So the change that you're going to receive from the sales clerk is $4.25. You can also do this in reverse to double check your answer. If you're subtracting, you can add. You can go from your answer back up to the top to double check your answer. So 5 plus 5 is equal to 10. 2 plus 7 is equal to 9. 4 plus 15 is equal to 19. So this indeed is our answer. $4.25 is your change. Let's look at number 3. A car uses 3/10 of a gallon of gas per mile. So every mile the car goes, it's using 3/10 of a gallon of gas. That seems pretty high to me. How much gas will it use to travel 50 miles? Okay, so this is simply multiplying. We're going to multiply 50 times 0.3. So let's do that. So we can put either, you can put either one on top. When you're multiplying or adding, it does not matter what order you add or multiply. You're going to get the same answers. So let's write this as 0.3 or 3/10 multiplied by 50. We don't worry when we're multiplying where to put the decimals. We simply multiply. When we're multiplying, we multiply first, and then at the very end, we have to have a strategy where to put the decimal. So we have 0, and we're going to multiply the decimal 3. So 0 times 3, 0 times 0 is 0. And then when we go to the left to 5, we're now in the 10th column. or place value. Before we multiply with the 5 in order to get our answers in the proper place value in relation to the first answer here, right here I mean, we have to put a placeholder here. So then we multiply. 5 times 3 is 15. Carry the 1. 5 times 0 plus 1. We're going to add up our two answers here, and we get 150. Well, that cannot be our answer, because we know that we want to know how much gas we're going to use if we travel 50 miles. Well, we're using less than a half a gallon, so we know the number cannot be 150. That would be more than a gallon per mile, quite a bit more. So what we do when we're multiplying with decimals, we take a look after we've multiplied without consideration of the decimals. We just multiplied like we were multiplying 50 times 3 or 3 times 50. Then after we have an answer down here, we go back up and we take a look at the numbers that we multiplied, and we see how many numbers there are to the right of the decimal. Well, if we look at 0.3, there's only one number to the right. And with 50, well, the decimal, if you don't see it, is after the last number. So there's no numbers to the right of the decimal. So how many numbers altogether to the right of the decimal? 1. So we come down here, and that 1 up above tells us to move the decimal back from the end and place it right there. So what does that tell us? Well, and the question is asking us how many how many gallons will it take to travel 50 miles. So in this case, it's 15 gallons. Okay, let's look at the last question here. You have 5/6 of a bottle of juice. If you drink 1/3 of the bottle, how much is left? Okay, well, I'm glad we've got a question like this, because we can cover subtracting and addition here. Okay, so when we're subtracting or adding fractions, the bottom numbers have to be the same. We have to have what's called common denominators. Remember, the top numbers are called numerators and the bottom numbers are called denominators. If our bottom numbers are the same, the bottom numbers, the denominators stay the same, and then we just manipulate the top numbers, either adding or subtracting. Well, let's write this out. So we have 5/6 of a bottle of juice, and the question is, if you drank 1/3 of the bottle, how much is left? Well, that's 5/6 minus 1/3. Well, we cannot subtract this as is. We have to have the same numbers on the bottom. Okay, remember, if I'm going to change the tops and the bottoms of either of these fractions, I have to either multiply or divide. I cannot do anything else. Very important to remember that. If you add or subtract the tops and the bottoms together, you're going to get a different number, fraction. It will not be equivalent. Well, I'm looking at the 3 here, and the 3 is pretty easy to change into a 6. 3 times 2, well, that equals 6. And with fractions, whatever you do to the bottom or the top, you have to do to the other side of the fraction, because they're like jealous siblings. They want to be treated the same. So we have to times the top or the bottom by the same number, or if we were dividing, we'd have to do the same thing. Occasionally you have to do this to both fractions, because you just can't make one into the other. And if that were the case, just multiply each denominator by the other denominator and then do the same thing to the top. Okay, so let's rewrite this. We have 5/6, which we're going to keep the same. We're subtracting, and on the top of the second fraction it is 1 times 2, so that becomes a 2. and the bottom becomes 3 times 2, which is 6. This we can subtract. The bottoms always stay the same, the denominators, if we're adding or subtracting. Doesn't matter if we're multiplying, we can just multiply the tops and the bottoms. Remember, if we're dividing, we just flip that second fraction upside down. That's called its reciprocal, and then you just multiply. Okay, so we got 5, 6, and we're going to take away 2, 6. So that equals 3, 6. That can be divided, the top and the bottom, by 3. So we can simplify that. Simplify means the same thing as reduce, and that just means putting our number into the smallest numbers possible, or our fractions. So 3 divided by 3 is equal to 1, and 6 divided by 3 is equal to 2. So our answer is you have 1/2 bottle left. All right. That is a wrap for us in this, the second lesson of this series of videos. Great job. If you're still having problems, look at the video again. Try the questions as we're going through them in the video. Go through the worksheets best you can. And if you're still having issues, please get in touch with me. Be as specific as you can be with your questions so that I know how to best help you. And remember, math is a journey, and Teacher Bob will be with you every step of the way. All right, take care, and we'll see you in the next lesson. Bye for now.